What if I told you that Ferrari plans to not only improve its car, but to literally change half of the SF-26 in Miami to completely restart the Formula One season? Are we facing Vasseur's most aggressive play, or the last desperate attempt to stop the rival's dominance? Fred Vasseur's message does not arrive at any moment. It arrives just when Ferrari finds itself in a limit position at the start of the season, a situation where the results do not reflect the real potential of the SF-26 and where pressure begins to grow inside and outside the team. But the most important thing here is not the disadvantage in points, but the internal reading they have done in Maranello. Ferrari does not believe it is far away, it believes it is incomplete. And that difference changes absolutely everything. Since the first races, the team has identified with surgical precision where its problems are, and the most striking thing is that it is not a total structural weakness, but rather very specific imbalances that are preventing the car from expressing its full performance. On the one hand, there is a clear lack in the power unit, with an estimated deficit compared to Mercedes that conditions both top speed and energy management at key moments. But at the same time, and this is the big key, the SF-26 chassis has been considered one of the best on the grid, meaning that the car has an extremely competitive base that is simply not being exploited. This contrast is precisely what has led Ferrari to make a radical decision. Instead of following the traditional path of small progressive improvements, they have opted for something much more aggressive, concentrating a massive evolution in a single point on the calendar, using the brake as a strategic window to redesign much of the car. And this is where Vasseur's message begins to take on a completely different dimension, because when he talks about another championship starting in Miami, he is not motivating, he is describing a plan already in motion. Ferrari has brought forward developments that were planned for much later, compressing months of work into a matter of weeks, with the aim of introducing a package that has no recent precedence in the team. Approximately half of the SF-26 will be modified, which involves profound changes in key areas such as front aerodynamics, airflow behavior, and adjustments that directly affect the overall balance of the car. We are not talking about an evolution, we are talking about a transformation. This movement also responds to an urgent need within the current competitive context. Teams like Mercedes have started the season with overwhelming consistency, racking up solid results that threaten to break the championship at a very early stage. Ferrari understands that if it does not act now, the distance could become irreversible, and that is why it decides to play its strongest card ahead of time. But what is truly shocking is the intention behind this decision. Ferrari is not reacting out of desperation, it is betting on a strategic coup that, if it works, can completely redefine the hierarchy of the grid. Because an update of this level not only improves your car, it also forces others to rethink their development, to respond, to enter a field where they no longer have a clear advantage. And this is how Vasseur's message stops being a simple statement and becomes a direct warning to all of Formula One. Ferrari is not going to wait. Ferrari is going to change the game in Miami. What Ferrari is preparing for Miami is not simply an aggressive evolution. It is a bet that borders on all or nothing, because modifying approximately half of the SF-26 in the middle of the season implies taking enormous risks, both at a technical and operational level. In modern Formula One, where each part is optimized to the limit and any change can alter the overall behavior of the car, introducing a package of this magnitude means practically rethinking the car from scratch on a race weekend. This is where Vasseur's message takes on a much deeper second layer, because he not only talks about ambition, he also hints at the internal confidence that the team has in its data and simulations. Ferrari is not improvising, it has validated this package in real conditions before taking it to the track, including key tests that have served to correlate the car's behavior with the new solutions. This is essential because one of the biggest risks in this type of massive updates is that what works in the wind tunnel or simulator does not always translate directly to the asphalt. Ferrari's objective is clear: to immediately correct all the weak points that they have identified in the first races. They don't want to gain a tenth or two. They want to change the entire competitive range of the car. This involves improving aerodynamic efficiency, optimizing energy management, and above all, finding that balance that allows the SF-26 to exploit its potential in different types of circuit, something that until now they have not achieved consistently. But this move has a direct consequence that many are not seeing. Ferrari is not only playing its season, it is conditioning the rest. If this package works, it will force teams like Mercedes to react ahead of schedule, rethink their own evolutions, and possibly accelerate developments that were not ready. And in an environment where resources are limited by the budget cap, each such decision has a ripple effect throughout the grid. Furthermore, there is a key factor that makes this situation even more critical: timing. Miami is not just any race on the calendar, it comes after a break that allows all the teams to make improvements, but Ferrari has decided to go much further than the rest. While others will bring normal evolutionary packages, they are going to present a deeply modified car, which increases both the potential for success and the risk of failure. Because if this package does not work as expected, the consequences can be devastating. Not only would they waste time in development, but they could enter a spiral where fixing bugs becomes increasingly complicated within a rapidly moving season. In other words, Ferrari is betting on a coup that can return them to the fight for the championship, or leave them permanently out of it. And it is precisely that duality that makes Vasseur's message so powerful. It is not just a promise of improvement, it is a declaration of intent that puts all the pressure on Miami, transforming that Grand Prix into an absolute turning point. Because when a team decides to change half a car in the middle of the season, they don't do it to survive. They do it to try to dominate. And this is where everything converges, because Miami will not be just another race. It will be the moment in which we will discover if Ferrari has made the right decision or if it has crossed too dangerous a line. All the compressed work, all the simulations, every hour invested in Maranello will be put to the test in a matter of minutes on the track, in an environment where there is no room to hide weaknesses or time to correct errors. What is at stake is not just performance, it is credibility. Ferrari has built this entire movement around one very clear idea, that the SF-26 has the potential to be the best car on the grid if unlocked correctly. And that means that Miami is not the beginning of an evolution. It is a direct validation of that internal belief. If the car responds as expected, the discourse changes completely. They will go from pursuers to real threat in a matter of a single weekend, confirming that this new championship that Vasseur spoke of was not an exaggeration, but a prediction. But if Formula One has taught us anything, it is that big bets can also go wrong. And when you introduce changes in the middle of the car, any mismatch in the correlation, any small error in the aerodynamic balance or in the interaction of the systems, can generate an effect opposite to that expected. A car that is more difficult to drive, more inconsistent, more unpredictable. And in that scenario, Ferrari would not only lose ground, it would lose control of its own narrative. In addition, there is a psychological element that begins to play a key role. The rest of the teams have already heard Vasseur's message, they already know what Ferrari is preparing, and that changes the competitive dynamic. Because now the pressure is not only on the track, it is in the expectation. If Ferrari arrives in Miami and does not comply, the disappointment will be proportional to the noise they have generated. But if they get it right, the blow will be even more devastating for their rivals. And that is precisely where everything is defined, in the impact. Because these types of movements are not measured only in tenths per lap, they are measured in how they alter the balance of the championship. If Ferrari manages to make that leap, it will force everyone to react, to accelerate developments, to change priorities, to enter a completely different phase of the season where there is no longer a clear reference. Therefore, when Vasseur says that another championship begins in Miami, he is not talking about the calendar. He is talking about power. Who dictates the pace, who sets the benchmark, who forces others to follow him. And Ferrari is trying to bring back exactly that. So the question is no longer whether Ferrari is going to improve. The real question is, have they got it right at the most important moment of the year? Or are they about to make the mistake that will define their entire season? Ferrari has decided to break with everything established, abandon the conservative path and bet on a movement that can completely redefine its season. Vasseur's message is not a simple optimistic statement, it is confirmation that Maranello has identified a hidden potential in the SF-26 and is willing to do what is necessary to release it, even if that means taking on one of the biggest technical risks of the year. Miami thus becomes much more than a race, it becomes the exact point where Ferrari's bravery will be measured against the reality of the track. Because changing half the car does not guarantee success, but it does guarantee something, a before and after. And in that scenario there is no middle ground. Either Ferrari gets it right and gets fully into the fight, altering the balance of forces and forcing everyone to react, or the blow becomes a structural error that will determine the rest of the season. The most striking thing about all this is that Ferrari has chosen the moment with complete intention. They have not waited until they were on the ropes, they have decided to attack before it is too late, trying to get ahead of the development of the rest of the teams and take the initiative in a championship that seemed to begin to lean in the other direction. That is the true reading of Vasseur's message. They are not chasing. They are trying to change who leads the technological race. And now, everything is reduced to a single moment, a single weekend where theory will face reality. Where we will see if Ferrari was right in believing that its car was better than it showed, or if that confidence was, in reality, a dangerous illusion. Because in the end, in Formula One, the one who promises the most doesn't win. The one who gets it right at the right moment wins. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.